Hello, I'm going to do the Capricorn love reading, and this may or may not resonate with you. If it does, take what does. If it does not, leave what does not. All right, so let's see what's going on. We got some romance angels that are popping out. We have calling in your soulmate. We have retreat and romantic feelings. All right. Calling in your soulmate, your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bringing you together. Retreat, it's time to disconnect from the world. Romantic feelings, your feelings are real and worth exploring. I kind of feel like it's making sure that you spend that time alone together to have your date night, your alone time, your time together, having a getaway. It could be for some of you, you're planning a trip with your partner, or you want to plan a trip with your partner, right? That you kind of feel like, yeah, you know, the time is right. Let's plan something. Or maybe it's a surprise, right? Maybe you want to surprise your partner and say, hey, let's plan a getaway. I feel like it's somebody that you're definitely connected to. I feel like this retreat helps to bring in those romantic feelings. Maybe it's like building a stronger connection with your partner. It doesn't have to be a getaway, but for some reason I'm seeing like some kind of getaway, but it could just be spending that day together, half a day together, that, you know, romantic dinner together. And that helps bring in those romantic feelings, all right? We have the Star card, which is hope. Could be that for some of you that are single, I feel like it's, if you're single, that, you know, keeping yourself grounded, keeping yourself in a positive energy. I feel like the retreat is like you focusing on you doing your thing. Sometimes we become so obsessed with trying to find that partner that we can't really even enjoy ourselves. We can't enjoy our alone time. We can't enjoy those other areas of our lives because we're kind of being consumed by trying to find that partner, right? Putting ourselves out there on the dating sites and going through all of that, and it just becomes overwhelming, or trying to make those relationships that we feel really aren't that great, but we're trying to push through those, but we're not really being happy. So I almost feel like it's, if you're single, to make sure that you're focusing and you're doing those things that make you happy, and that you're focusing on the other areas of your life, and that you're keeping yourself in that positive energy and in a good headspace. Because sometimes when we're on those dating sites and we keep looking, that we get frustrated and we get angry. And so we're really putting ourselves not in such a good, you know, frame of mind. So that's maybe something to keep track of. We have the Ace of Swords, and that is reversed. There may be some things, like I was saying, that you may be holding on to. So if you're single, it could be this frustration, right, and this irritation, or there may be some things in the past that you haven't gone over, you haven't worked through. Sometimes when we end a relationship, we want to get right back onto those dating sites, or we want to get right back into something else and a new person, but we haven't had time to work through what happened before in past relationships or past energies that we have. We haven't taken that time to process those things. It could also be that if you're in a relationship, that is there something that's bothering you? You feel that you are close to this person, but is there something that you haven't gotten over, you haven't gotten past, and there's something that you have to work through? So it's like, okay, let's take this time alone to ourselves to make sure that we address the situation so that we can move on, right? That we don't let that, there's something that you have to work on. Whether you're single, there's some stuff from the past that you have to work on that you haven't dealt with. Or it's if you're in a relationship, there's something that, you know, that has been bothering you, that it's time to work on that. It's time to look at it, because you don't want that to fester. You don't want that to get out of control. Something that you have to move on from. Maybe it was starting to create some friction between the two of you, but making sure you take that time away to work on it. And maybe you're like, hey, let me plan this little getaway or this trip, because being in that neutral ground helps you to both feel like you're on that neutral ground, that you can talk about things, that you can open up about things. All right, judgment, an awakening, a renewal, a revival a revival of the relationship, right? A renewal of the relationship, and working on things, letting things go, being patient with things, dedicated, working on things. I feel like you're kind of, which I love is that you're in this frame of mind of saying, yeah, I want to work on this. Like I want to work through this reversed ace of swords, whatever that represents to you. I want to work through that, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship. You're seeing the light, and you're seeing, yeah, I don't want to keep putting if you're single, you're like, I don't want to keep putting myself into new relationships because I feel like the same thing keeps happening. And realizing, hey, the same thing is probably keeps happening because I haven't dealt with this reversed ace of swords here. And that even though that's not fun, it's like, okay, I have to keep doing this. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going around in this circle and keep doing these patterns. And I'm going to start new relationships, and it's going to get to a certain point, and then it's going to, end up the same way. Or if it's in a relationship that you're already in, kind of seeing, okay, I'm seeing that this is starting to build up, that, I don't want it to get to this point, and that I want to work through it before it gets to a bad point. And that helps to keep those romantic feelings and those connections, with that person, because you're feeling like, okay, I'm not holding on to this reversed ace of swords, and I'm not having that energy in there, and I'm feeling positive, I'm feeling connected, I'm feeling like a partnership. And it's not, it's the energy that you're putting in, like you're working on it, and then your partner's, working on it, and you're working on things together. You're making choices and decisions together. You're seeing that working on these things may be difficult. This reversed ace of swords is difficult, but it's definitely worth it, right? Because you learn a lot. You've grown a lot. Even if you're single and you're saying, yeah, I'm not bringing this reversed ace of swords into my new relationships. Once you've worked through that and you're seeing, yeah, I'm making better choices. And it could be a whole different type of person that you are attracted to, because maybe back here when you were single, you kept attracting the same kind of person, or you were attracted to the same kind of person, and it always ended up the same way. But now that you've worked through this reversed ace of swords, you're able to see, hey, I don't want that type of person anymore, because I've grown, I've learned, I've done the work, and I realize, hey, I've learned a lot from it, and I've learned, hey, like, I don't want to be with that type of person. I'm not attracted to that type of person anymore. I want somebody who is more grounded, who's worked through their stuff, somebody who is more stable, somebody who, sometimes we feel we need fixing, so we feel like, we like those fixer-upper people, right? Because they have issues and problems, and you have issues and problems, and you feel like, oh, I can fix that person. I don't want to fix me, but I'll fix that person. And it's like, that doesn't work out. Sometimes it does. I'm not saying it always doesn't, but, sometimes, it doesn't. But then now that you've worked on yourself and you've let those things go, you're like, oh, I want somebody who's kind of worked through their baggage, that they're not a fixer-upper. I mean, we're all kind of fixer-uppers, but it's not as big as what it was back here. It's things that are workable, and that this person isn't bringing past relationships and baggage into the relationship, and it has a better chance of a partnership and growing and learning. And then also with that partnership, it's like working on seeing when there's a problem, reversed ace of swords, and then being able to work through it together brings it close, the two of you closer together, and you're like, yeah, like, we can handle things, we know how to deal with things, we communicate, and that's definitely a good thing. All right, and at the bottom of the deck we have Six of Pentacles, and that's what I was saying about sharing and communicating and working through things, and seeing that if there's a reversed ace of swords with something that needs to be worked out, that you see that and you work on it. And that's definitely a good thing to keep a relationship strong, to keep a relationship together, to have that Four of Wands, to have that partnership where you feel like, okay, I can talk to that person about anything, that we can work through this, and we can get, build that strong relationship. And again, if you're single, that when you're starting those new relationships, that you're starting in a better place, that you're not bringing this reversed ace of swords in with you. All right, so let's get an animal oracle. Badger spirit, be fearless and bold. Yeah, having to deal with this reversed Ace of Swords, these issues, these problems, these things that bother us, you have to be fierce and you have to be bold, because it's like, who wants to deal with that? It's so much easier to ignore it, right? It's so much easier to sweep it under the rug. But to be fierce and bold and to face things head on and be like, yeah, I got to deal with this, right? Whether it's within a relationship or you're single, you know, it's not easy taking that time being single and working through those things. You know, it's so much easier to just get in another relationship and not think about it and not deal with it. But in the long run, I feel like that hurts us, right? Because we keep bringing that baggage. We're never really having that full fulfillment because we haven't worked on those things. But to be strong and bold, take that time to ourselves, whether it's a month, whether it's a year, right? Whether it's 10 years, however long that takes, to work through that. And then when you have new relationships, you're feeling like these are more fulfilling relationships. All right. Thank you so much for watching. As always, stay positive, stay safe, and I will see you next time.